Hello everybody and welcome to the Import-Export Hub channel. Your not so boring host Bogdan here, and guys, without anything else to add in this intro as my creativity level, if you want, hit rock bottom, let's cut to the case and start this video with the first product that I recommend to export towards Mexico, which is swine meat, fresh, chilled or frozen, especially if you're based in the United States or Canada. Because as you can see in the table here, most of the imports are from these two countries, so quite a lot of import concentration for this category. Now, relative to the total imports for 2020, these amounted to $1.3 billion, with the United States alone having 93% share in Mexico's total imports, while Canada has the rest of 7%, which translates roughly into $86 million in absolute terms. As for the trend from the last 5 years, personally, I think that the Mexican market is quite mature, stable, and why not somehow hermetic, leaving little room for new entrants, except maybe if you choose to enter through the distribution channel of a big Mexican retailer, and of course be very competitive in terms of price. But, and I underline this fact, this is suitable mostly for the US and the Canadian exporters, as players from other countries, from my personal point of view, can compete with them in this category. As for the main drivers here, both for the United States and Canada, HS code 020312, so fresh or chilled hams, represents the biggest export driver towards Mexico from this category. And guys, with this being said, I'll move on to my next recommendation, which is preparations used in animal feeding. And we see here that in 2020, the total imports were close to $313 million, so 19% down compared with the figures from 2019. And we have the United States as the biggest supplier with $241 million, followed by Canada, and on the third place we have China with close to $17 million worth of exports towards Mexico from this category. In terms of year-on-year changes, mostly red for the top 10 trading partners, except with Spain, with whom the imports grew with almost 37%, which is close to $5.7 million in absolute terms. As for the future development of Mexico's imports from this category, personally, I think it's worth following up how the imports from Canada and China will develop, and if the gap between Canada's and China's exports towards Mexico from this category were quite significant in 2017, 2018, and 2019. In 2020, the gap was reduced considerably, and I won't be surprised to see the imports from China surpass the ones from Canada in 5 years' time. And I think that has to do a lot with the fact that the Chinese strategy right now is focusing in terms of reducing the swine meat import dependency, as there are massive investments in China right now in pig fattening facilities that of course will need massive inputs like animal feeding preparations, and for sure there will be a mismatch between the supply and the demand for the feeding preparations. Maybe we will see some subsidies from the Chinese authorities for this product, and most probably the extra volumes not needed for the internal market will be made available for export towards, why not, Mexico. Anyways, we will wait and see if this is going to happen. It's just a thought of mine, and I might be wrong, of course. Moving forward with the main export driver from this category, for China and Brazil, we have HS code 230990. And guys, without anything else to add here, I will move on to my next recommendation, which is coming from chapter 9026. So instruments and apparatus for measuring or checking the flow, the level, pressure, or other variables. And we see that in 2020, the total imports shrunk with more than 10%, bringing the absolute values to almost $790 million, with the United States, China, and Japan representing the top three trading partners. But we have others like, I don't know, Germany, the United Kingdom, or Singapore, just to name a few from these top 10 trading partners. Now, relative to the year-on-year changes, except with Malaysia and Singapore, who saw their exports towards Mexico increase with 13 and 31% respectively, with the rest of the trading partners, the imports fell, and it's understandable as most of the products imported from this category have industrial use, and as we know, the pandemic slowed the industrial activity worldwide, and Mexico, with its large manufacturing base, is no exception. As for the main drivers from this category, for Japan we have HS code 902790, so Microtomes for physical or chemical analysis, and for Malaysia we have HS code 902780, driving most of Mexico's imports from here. And with this being covered, I will jump on to my next product recommendation, which is coming from chapter 0802. So other nuts, fresh or dried, whether or not shelled or peeled. And we see that in 2020, the total imports were close to $284 million, a 5.5% decrease from 2019. And we have the United States, Turkey, and China with the biggest export figures towards Mexico. And in fact, we see that for 2020, the countries supplying products from this category to Mexico were only 5. So again, quite a strong concentration in terms of imports. As for the year-on-year changes, the imports from the United States were up 1.3%, while the imports from the rest of the trading partners suffered big contractions, both in absolute and relative terms, with Turkey, the most affected one, if you ask me, declining from $18 million in 2019 to just $1.3 million in 2020. As for the major drivers from this category, we have fresh or dried walnuts in shell, as in the case with the United States, and fresh or dried hazelnuts shelled, as in the case with Turkey, which I think is also the biggest exporter of hazelnuts in the world. Anyways, with this being covered, I will move on to my fifth and last recommendation, so bear with me, guys. And it's sawn wood, so chapter 4407 from the HS code list. And we see that the total imports for 2020 accounted for more than $517 million, with the United States, Brazil, and Chile being the top three trading partners. But we have other supplying countries like, I don't know, Canada, Peru, or Cote d'Ivoire, just to name a few from this top 10 list. As for the year-on-year changes, except Chile, Germany, and Slovenia, who also their exports grow, with the rest of the supplying country, there are big contractions ranging from, I don't know, minus 6.4%, as in the case with the United States, to minus 68%, as in the case with Argentina here. As for the main drivers from this category, for both the United States and Chile, we have HS code 440710, so coniferous wood, and HS code 440722, driving most of Peru's exports towards Mexico from this category. As for future trend, guys, and with this I will end my video, I won't be surprised to see the imports from Brazil and Canada increase by, I don't know, eroding the volumes coming from the United States. So there you are, guys. These were my 5 recommendations for you guys. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe buttons. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.